watching because he's winning. You stop that, you're not on HBO long.
Yeah.
Let me tell you, so if he's doing what he should do, continue to win, and all the other stuff comes along with it. Don't go out there and do anything else but win.
All right, well, it's a fascinating relationship between Stewart and Lewis. There are some moments when Emmanuel will say that Lennox is as talented as any heavyweight ever. There are others when he'll tell Lennox that nobody cares about him. Let's see why. For Lennox Lewis, Judgment Day has arrived. Time has come for him to emerge from the shadows that have marked his bewildering career and come to terms with his split personality. Will we see the spectacular fighter who has proven he can dominate opponents?
Right hand to the body. Ruddock in trouble. We have a great new heavyweight.
Or will we see the brooding and reluctant Lewis, the one who has lacked that vital killer instinct?
And now Lewis is hurt by the right hand. Lennox not holding on. Mercer pounds away.
Lennox Lewis's career has been a roller coaster for a lot of different reasons. I think it's a lot to do with his mental makeup. He's too conservative and too intelligent and too analytical in the ring.
It's like a chess game in a sense, and it's a game where you have to use your strategy.
And in some situations, he will become more aggressive, and then on another night, the real true Lennox will dominate, and he will become more conservative, even in situations when it's not even necessary. And that is what has stopped him from becoming the fighter that he is capable of being.
So who is the fighter? And can he live up to all that promise and potential? For now, it seems, even when Lennox Lewis wins, he loses, as was the case in his rematch with Oliver McCall for the WBC Heavyweight Championship.
Let's get it on.
My main goal was just to go in there and get back my WBC belt. After I hit him with a combination, he kind of went dancing back. He basically panicked.
McCall is doing a very strange thing here, folks. He's wandering around the ring. He hasn't gone to his corner, and he's trying to figure out what's gone wrong.
It's like an off switch went off in his head, and he just turned, and he went into a different person.
This is a bizarre display. I personally have never seen anything like it.
He started crying in the ring.
He's crying in his corner. I've never seen anything like this. He's overwhelmed with some sort of emotion.
I trained for a fight, but I never trained for this kind of situation that occurred.
And it's placed Lennox Lewis in an awfully difficult and awkward position. Lewis doing what he has to do.
Emmanuel Stewart actually told me,
Let's just go ahead and try to end it.
You wonder how much longer Mills Lane will allow this to go on. And that's going to be it. With a whimper, not a bang, Lennox Lewis has just become the WBC World Heavyweight Champion for the second time in his career.
I wanted to win the belt, you know, outright, especially with a good knockout. But it was a situation where everybody really focused on him crying and his antics and him not really wanting to fight. But what can you do?
What Lennox should do now is throw caution to the wind. Is greatness still on the horizon? Only he can answer that question, and his reply must come tonight with a convincing win over Henry Akinwande.
It's fair to call Lennox Lewis an enigma, but an extremely talented man. I recently had a conversation with Lennox where I explained to him that he's a good fighter, and he will remain a good fighter maybe, but he will never become a great fighter unless he's willing to take risks. And that all great people take risks. And he has to, from here, go on and start being impressive. And being impressive in every fight, not just every other fight, but still the public, and that's what really counts. They don't respect and appreciate his talent, and justifiably so. Until he wins a major big fight, the public is not going to ever appreciate him.
My day's going to come where I'm going to be in a fight where all of a sudden I'm going to go out there and look spectacular. Right now, you could say I'm just climbing a hill and soon to reach the top.
So can Lewis ever again create the kind of excitement he created with his knockout of Razor Ruddock? That question hovers over this bout as it has over every Lennox Lewis bout for the past 5 years. Larry, let's turn our attention to the much less well-known subject of Henry Akinwande. If this fight had taken place a year and a half, 2 years ago, it would have been regarded as an enormous mismatch. Now it's seen as a potentially close fight. Just how big a threat is Akinwande to Lewis?
Well, he might hug him to death, but he really is a threat. The main reason is that he is a live fighter. By that I mean that he exudes a certain kind of energy and ambition, like a racehorse that's just raring to run. Secondly, he's one of those fighters who they say of him, who needs him? as in who needs him because he's so hard to beat, or who needs him because even if you beat him, you can't look good, or who needs him because even if you beat him, you're not going to get much credit for it or make a whole lot of money for it. Well, we have two fighters who might be classified in that category, and so maybe we'll have a who needs them kind of fight, or maybe we'll have a revelation. And Jim, this fight opened at almost 3-to-1 odds for Lewis. All the late money coming in on Akinwande, it's down to 7-to-5. A lot of professionals I speak to like Akinwande.
Well, and for the reason that a lot of people wonder what Lewis's style will do for him against a taller fighter. A guy like Lennox Lewis goes his whole career, George Foreman, thinking that every opponent is going to be smaller. Now he has to prepare to fight a guy who is taller and has a longer reach. How much different?
I think it's perfect. Your defense is built around keeping your hands up at all times. When you fight the shorter opponents, you have a tendency to lower your hand. So he'll have a chance to highlight his defense. And he went in with Riddick Bowe in the amateurs, and he had a good experience during the Olympics with taller guys. So this will not be a horse of another color, so to speak, tonight.
George has always been kind to Lewis in his public comments. Let's see if he can uphold your faith in him as he gets ready to fight a guy who, like so many at this level of the sport, has had a fascinating and unusual personal path. Let's get to know better the Nigerian Brit, Henry Akinwande. Henry Akinwande. Boring, obscure, never tested. For the towering Nigerian fighter, these ring identity challenges persist. They're nothing compared to the obstacles he faced as a child.
One thing people doesn't know about me is that I have the opportunity to live in Africa, you know, and don't forget, you know, I have the opportunity to see both sides of the world, you know, and I knew what it's like for the people who doesn't have nothing.
Trying to escape the poverty of his country by taking up boxing was costly. As a teenager, Henry defied his father and Nigerian traditions.
The way the African parents, you know, deal with their children is different from the way American, you know, parents deal with their children. They tell you something, you have to do it. You go against their will. If things doesn't work out, don't come back home. That is like their kind of attitude. And I mean, but I knew what I'm letting myself in for, you know. So, but there's something in me that I just want to do boxing.
15 and penniless, Akinwande severed himself from his roots, moving from his homeland to the hope of bigger money in London.
I started very, very poor. That sometimes I only eat maybe once a day. I cannot even pay my bills. I cannot even pay nothing, you know. And it's just like, it got to a stage, you know, my friends start saying, Henry, why can't you go and get another job, you know, because you've been trying to box, you know, all this time and you're not getting paid.
Far from home, Akinwande remained estranged from his father to the day he died.
I don't have no father figure. I mean, my mom died when I was young, so most of the things that I've been doing, I've achieved so far, is just the God's will.
But mere inspiration wasn't enough for the 6'7" European heavyweight. While in England, his perfect record of 27 victories gave him hope, but his mission stalled. British fans didn't care. His performances were dull.
Everywhere I go, except England, people love watching me. If they don't go along with me, you know, it doesn't bother me at all. As long as the people who's paying my money, I mean, he's paying for me to fight.
Bigger money offers came from America, so Akinwande exiled himself from the UK 3 years ago. Trains in Houston, lives in Florida. Next, Akinwande adjusted his style by tapping Don Turner as the new trainer. Veteran teacher was last year's Trainer of the Year and guided Evander Holyfield to his victories over Mike Tyson.
I'm more than determined to prove these people wrong, you know, so I'll go through anything, you know, just to prove them wrong. And, you know, to have people like Don Turner, you know, it's just like the last thing in the puzzle.
You got to force him the opposite way, the way he's not used to going.
Come on, let's go! Their first test together was against sometime contender Jeremy Williams.
This guy is ready to go as soon as you hit him.
The reborn fighter exploded with a more aggressive style and grabbed a fringe title.
That is the proudest moment of my life because, when that thing happened, I just went back to the time that I started struggling, you know, and I went back to when those people in England started saying this and saying that.
So the flack diminished and progress continued. Next challenge, Russian southpaw Alexander Zolkin. The Nigerian-born giant played master technician, showcasing Turner's favorite weapon.
Do your thing. Come on.
The most important punch in boxing is the jab. You got a guy with a good jab, he's going to be very hard to beat. Especially a big guy like him. short guy got to work twice as hard to get to him, and then when he gets to him, he gets hit more. Larry Holmes, Saul Manby, Chris Teozo, Mike McCallum. Henry got the fastest jab as a heavyweight.
Despite improvements, the old credibility gap lingers, making Akinwande's passion his haven as well.
I'm in peace, with myself by doing boxing. That's something in me, like just keep saying don't quit, and I'm glad I did not.
Tonight, a lifetime of sacrifice yields for Akinwande his biggest opportunity. His elusive dream is within reach, but never more uncertain. Sale of the tape, and you are going to see two heavily muscled, well-conditioned heavyweights in the ring tonight. Lewis weighing in at 242, Akinwande 237.5. 4-inch reach advantage for Akinwande. They're the same age, and the time is now. Larry?
2 points about these numbers, Jim. They emphasize the change in British heavyweights from horizontal jokes to vertical forces. And also there's that 242 by Lewis, 9 pounds less than in his last fight against Oliver McCall. He is taking this occasion seriously.
Bunch stat numbers, Larry.
Here we take a look at how active they are. Modestly active, throw about the same number of punches, land about the same number of punches, but they're going against the type of fighters neither of them has really faced before as professionals. Jabs, you can see Lewis is a little bit more active with his, but it's always been a pawing jab. He says he will make it a powerful jab this time. We'll see.
Rules of the bout with our fight judge and pharmacist, Harold Letterman.
The Lennox Lewis Henry Akinwande fight is scheduled for 12 rounds. There is no standing 8 count, no 3 knockdown rule. Only the referee can stop the fight, and you can be saved by the bell in the 12th and final round only. Jim.
All right, Harold, and now Henry Akinwande will enter the ring first. Apparently to the sounds of Peter Gabriel.
About a decade ago, Jim, he was sweeping streets around Trafalgar Square in London, working for the city as a street sweeper. And here he is, trying to become the heavyweight champion.
Challenge for the 6'7" fighter to get himself between the ring ropes. And here's a look at the record: 32 wins, no losses. The one draw was against Axel Schultz, and 19 KOs for Akinwande, who did not used to be regarded as a heavy puncher, but has greatly improved his right hand in the past year under Don Turner. Probably noticed promoter Don King in the ring with Akinwande. Should Akinwande win the title, then King will hold for the moment promotional control of all 3 of the major belt heavyweight titleists. Holyfield, WBA, Michael Moorer, IBF. This bout is for the WBC title. A little bit of a delay in Lennox Lewis's exit from his dressing room.
They think they have an edge because Akinwande has never had a big occasion like this. Perhaps this is some gamesmanship going on.
And you might have heard Don Turner telling Akinwande, stay loose, stay loose.
For a big man, he is extremely well coordinated and has some very, very nice, well-schooled skills.
And now here enters Lewis. As you know, if If you followed his career, he has roots to Jamaica and Canada as well as to Great Britain. Fought in the Olympics for Canada in 1988 when he won the super heavyweight gold medal, defeating Riddick Bowe in the final.
I think he must think of himself as a true Brit now, because recently he had a reception with the Queen, who noted acutely that he was tall, and a reception at Parliament as well.
He met with members of both houses of Parliament, so now we get ready to learn, is he a Lord of the Ring or is he as common as cat litter? Soon to find out. 30 wins. The one loss to Oliver McCall was sort of avenged in McCall's walk-around in February. 25 KOs for the hard-punching Lennox Lewis. And now let's go to Michael Buffer for the official introductions.
Ladies and gentlemen, main events and Caesars Tahoe, along with your undisputed, undefeated king of beers, Budweiser. This Bud's for you, in association with Don King Productions, present 12 rounds of boxing for the WBC Heavyweight Championship of the World. This bout is sanctioned by the Nevada State Athletic Commission. Chairman, Dr. Elias Ghanem. Commissioners, Nat Carasali, Luther Mack, Lorenzo Fertitta, and Dr. James Nave. Executive Director, Mark Ratner. And the World Boxing Council, President, Jose Suleiman, and WBC Supervisor at ringside, John Morris. The officials assigned at ringside. Physicians, Dr. Joseph Heflin, Dr. James McLennan, and Dr. Craig Goodmanson. The timekeepers are John Rogers and Jim Carpenter, and the 3 judges assigned at ringside, scoring this bout on a 10-point must system, will be Larry O'Connell, Dalby Shirley, and Terry Smith. And when the bell rings, the man in charge of the action, your referee, working for the 97th time in a world title bout, Mills Lane. And now, ladies and gentlemen, from Caesars Tahoe, here at Lake Tahoe, Nevada, let's get ready to rumble! In the blue corner, wearing black trimmed with white and weighing 237 pounds, his professional record stands at 33 bouts, 32 victories with 1 draw without a loss, and he has scored 19 knockouts. Fighting out of Tallahassee, Florida, here is the undefeated WBC #1 ranked challenger, the former WBO World Heavyweight Champion, Henry Akinwande. And across the ring in the red corner, wearing white and weighing 242 pounds, this 1988 Olympic gold medalist now has a professional record of 31 bouts. Victorious 30 times, 25 of those by knockout with only 1 defeat. Ladies and gentlemen, the defending champion from East London, England, presenting the 2-time WBC Heavyweight Champion of the World, Lennox.
Okay, gentlemen, had the instruction. Manny, if he goes right here, I'm not going to call it low. Right here is going to be okay. Okay, Don? You've been through all the instructions at one time. I expect a tough, clean fight. Protect yourself at all times. Any questions from the challenger, Chief Second? Champion, Chief Second. Let's get it on!
Well, let's hope one or both of these fighters is as decisive as Mills Lane has been as a referee, recently and before recently.
Round 1 begins.
Should note here that it's a very small ring for big guys especially, about 17.5 feet, which should favor Lewis, George.
I think so. Once you get the ring closer, where the big guys, no matter how big they are, you got to throw punches at all times. There's no room to move around and look, especially when you have this kind of reach.
Well, it'll certainly favor Lewis and his harder punching if he can be aggressive. And he's come out aggressively, initiating the exchanges with Akinwande in the first 30 seconds of the fight. And Mills Lane already with a conference about holding.
But generally, these guys are accustomed to jabbing, feeling for a jab and jabbing, but the ring is so small that after a jab, they bump into one another.
Akinwande has been told by his trainer, Don Turner, to move forward as he throws the jab. Likewise, Emmanuel Stewart is trying to get Lennox Lewis to be much more aggressive, to throw a George Foreman or Sonny Liston-style jab and drive his body through behind it. Lennox in the past has had a habit of doing what Larry Merchant calls fighting from the back seat, throwing the jab but leaning backward as he does.
Lewis trying to assert himself here, and Akinwande has to put some hurt on him to drive him away.
Let him go, Henry. Let him go.
Otherwise, Lewis will just keep coming.
Akinwande, within the last 20 seconds, beginning to release punches on his own. Before that, he was only fighting back as Lewis attacked. So now Akinwande will try to establish the jab, which is his key to winning the fight.
Work out.
Lennox Lewis will have the advantage of the left jab. Just got to forget about throwing a right hand and left hook and just stick with the left hand.
First tackle of the fight.
Come on. Well, come here.
And it certainly is striking to see these two very large men in such a small ring.
Work out.
I think it's a mistake for Lennox Lewis to consider all that talk about getting more aggressive, because then you get off. This guy is a well-schooled national Olympic champion. He knows how to box. Take your time, set everything up by jab, and you can do it.
Let him go, Henry. Let him go. Come on.
So you've never felt that the way Lewis fights is bad for him as an attraction?
It's great. He doesn't have short arms. He's not going to be able to get quick knockouts from underneath and things of that nature. He has long arms. You got to fight within the in what you can do.
Why do long arms mean that it would take him longer to knock people out?
Oh, the guy can see that long arm coming. He got lots of time to get away.
A very decisive round for Lewis.
You're looking good. You're establishing yourself good. This round, you're going to work a little bit more with the jab, but mentally you're broken into already, okay? The man is not that strong mentally. And what start working more with your jab as you move in. But you're looking good. And you're catching everything. I love where your hands are, because you're catching everything. I just hope you don't get smart and start trying to come up the room.
Straight back and so can jump on you. See, that same thing we was talking in the dressing room. Just sidestep. Get a little rhythm up in your upper body. Okay? And sidestep this guy.
You hear what he's saying, Henry? You hear what he's saying, Henry?
You understand?
Rhythm.
Okay, just a little rhythm.
Just like
just a move in your head and body.
You see, you can hit him with a right hand.
And he gonna run into some shit. Just be patient and wait. He'll run, but keep the jab out there. Just keep the jab out there, okay? Don't go straight back.
Come on.
Okay?
You understand?
Box numbers show relatively low punch output for both fighters in round number one. Let's see if they step up the activity in round two. Akinwande, urged by his corner to listen to instruction, and he may forget what they told him after that right hand by Lewis.
With good right hand, right on top, which is what Lennox Lewis has been doing his whole career. Power your jab, load up for a right hand like a baseball pitcher.
He does power right hand straight over the top, George.
The more power you put into a left jab, you're not going to have anything for your right hand. You're going to have to take all the power off and power like he's been doing his career to get that right hand effective.
Step back, man. One step back. Come on. Let him go.
So again, George going against what has been widespread opinion regarding Lewis. A lot of people complaining about the way he paused with his jab. George says that's the way for him to maintain the power in his right hand.
That's what you do. Now,
1 point off here.
1 point removed from Akinwande.
He's saying to Akinwande, you're here to fight, not to hug.
There's another hug.
Step back. Step back, Lennox.
Well, Lewis has been talking for days about how he expected Akinwande to wrap him in a bear hug, and Akinwande has proven true to form.
Hey, back it off. One step back. Come on.
You see that referee, his lightweight, he'll wear out sooner or later pushing these big guys back. And that's what he's hoping, the big, tall guy.
Let him go. It's time. You go here. Time. Come up here. Now look, you need, don't you tell him. You need to fight or I'm going to chase you. And you can do better than that, you understand? Hey, Brad, come on. Let's go. Come on.
This is the way it's going to have to be in boxing. The referee's going to have to step up these days. Never going back to the days of gentlemanship. These guys are going to break every rule.
Well, we're 2 weeks removed from what's likely to become the most famous disqualification in the history of the sport, and Lane is threatening to end another heavyweight championship bout with a disqualification.
Well, remember earlier I said he might try to hug him to death.
And you heard Don Turner saying to Akinwande, don't let this guy disqualify you. So Akinwande must respond.
Mills Lane is being awful careful. The greatest danger of him stepping in there and getting hit himself. These guys are hitting while they are hugging.
Work out. There you go. Step back, Henry. Come on.
This looks like a mating dance between two boa constrictors.
The only guy that can keep these guys apart would have to be the Olympic champion. Olympia.
Mr. Olympia.
Mr. Olympia. Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Lee Haney.
Lee Haney
one of
can
those
push him
people.
apart. Otherwise, this referee is going to faint.
Well, Mills is pretty dogged. Round 2 comes to a close, and Akinwande is flirting with disqualification danger.
You all right, man? You all right? Let's get out there and fight this guy. He throw his best shot at you. He ain't done nothing.
All you gotta do is fight.
Get us moving. Just get us moving in your legs.
I'll tell you something. The only reason he's hitting you is because you're not hitting him. This guy don't want to fight. He wants you in close. Stay outside, use your angles, and punch on this guy, man.
You set that weight on him to slow down.
You break him down.
When you get inside, you got to start short punches right away.
Exactly.
As soon as he reaches, you got to start short punches. Don't worry about big shots. If he's grabbing you, you got to get up right away with quick shots. Work the left jab.
Good fakes and let him.
Here we see as Akinwande clutched without really ever trying to fight in that instance. And a point was taken away from him.
I think Lennox Lewis should just kind of stay with it. Punch the guy, wait for him to hug. When he lets go, punch him again, wait for him to hug. Why exert yourself?
Look, when I take a step back, you step back. Understand? Come on.
Akinwande landed a good right hand that time.
Little short one inside. He can counter. You heard Emmanuel Stewart saying, I hope the guy doesn't get smart and start throwing punches up the middle. And now Lewis backs Akinwande off again with a jab and a right hand. They both rely primarily on the 1-2. Jab, right hand. Jab, right hand. Lewis flashed a good uppercut and a left hook in some of his recent fights, and there's an attempt at the right uppercut right there. Akinwande grabs and holds again.
Every time Lewis lands a punch, Akinwande's instinct is to hold rather than punch back, George.
And I think that Lewis should play right into it. Hit him and stop exerting himself trying to push him away. 12 rounds of that can wear him out also.
Good quick jab by Akinwande lands there. Lewis almost went down from a right hand as Akinwande was pushing on his shoulder. So now Lennox's balance seems to desert him a little bit.
I thought it might have been a knockdown, Jim. It was a surprise quick right hand as he moved in. His knee may have grazed the canvas.
It was close, that's for sure. But not ruled a knockdown, obviously. And now Akinwande is beginning to get into the fight if he can curb his instinct to hold.
Let me tell you, that holding when you're a heavyweight can drive you and burn you out. After a couple of rounds, you may even faint from pushing and shoving.
Who gets tireder faster, the
Lennox
holder or
Lewis,
the holdee? Yeah.
Lennox Lewis is throwing all the power punches, so he's probably the one in danger of getting tired here.
He's already has his mouth open.
Come on. Punch out now. Come on, work out. Punch out.
Lewis remembering to go to the body as they hold and clinch around the ring. We'll see if that serves him well over a long period of time.
Well, he's fighting a very thin guy in Akinwande. He's accustomed to guys looking at his thin body and beating on it if they shot, so that's not going to bother him.
Nevada State Athletic Commission officials sitting at ringside and no doubt hoping against hope that they don't see another disqualification in a heavyweight title fight in their state. Lewis goes to the body, and effectively so.
Effectively so, you're right.
As round 3 comes to a close.
Dig the left hook to the body, okay? Start going with the left hook to the body first, and anything you want out there, but go with the left hook to the body, okay? Go with the left hook to the body. It's very important. You start in here, slip over and dig the hook right in here, okay? And then come back on top with the right. I'll come back with a hook on top. But go with the left hook to the body.
Lennox, you got them. Come on, let's go. Come on, son. Inhale. We had him. We had him just then. We got to put more punches together. You hear me?
Let's see if we can find out if that was a knockdown or a push down, or it really wasn't a knockdown. It was just the pressure of the body that pushed him down, it seemed, but it could have been. I mean, I don't know what that is, George. What is it?
Oh, it's right on top of the head. And those kind, when you're not accustomed to being hit there because you're taller, they have some effect on you.
In round 3, CompuBox numbers give Lewis credit for landing 21 punches, many of them body shots. Akinwande landed only 8 through only 26. And there he is, clinching Lewis's head under his left arm. Could it be, George, that Akinwande's arms are so long that he just cannot resist his urge to hold?
He can't do anything else. Evidently, he's not a short puncher, so when he's close, all he can do to protect himself is to hold.
Now Akinwande begins to land that 1-2 more effectively. And the crowd begins to express its displeasure. Lewis tries a wild roundhouse right. Akinwande wraps him up. It ain't going to be pretty.
Ain't going to be pretty, and we're going to have a referee who's very tired.
And Lewis, it looks as though he's almost worn out already.
No doubt about it.
Wobbling around.
His corner has told him to throw these power punches, and that's what you don't want to do when you're fighting a guy grabbing like that.
Take a step
back. Just stay ahead on points, get your win every round.
Lewis still doing an effective job of ducking and slipping. But that time he doesn't get a punch off before Akinwande leans all over it. Akinwande killing 8, 10, 12 seconds at a time, just leaning all over Lewis.
He's doing a good job. If the referee continuously let him do that, Lennox Lewis is going to faint.
I can hear a lot of fans saying, well, if this is what's going to happen when we get a 6'5" guy against a 6'7" guy, let's go back to the shorter heavyweights. They're more fun to watch.
No, it's the rope. The ring is very small. There's no room to run.
Should it have been bigger?
I think so.
But Lewis is making all the effort here. I mean, give him credit. He's trying to make a fight out of it.
He's doing the best he can.
You know, and it takes two to fight. And a professional fighter, if all he's interested in is hugging and squeezing and holding on, there's not a whole lot you can do about it.
It's hard to imagine how much longer Lane can go without being forced to disqualify Akinwande.
He's in an awful bad position.
Terrible.
Step back, knees. Step back. Hey. Step back. Now, come on.
Lane is in a terrible position, and so by extension is the Nevada State Athletic Commission.
The body punches by Lewis are the most effective right now.
Well, he's winning every round, George. I mean, wouldn't you assume that Lewis has won the first 3 rounds?
No doubt about it, but he's also playing in the part of the old bull when the matador is sticking that thing over his neck, and he's being held like that. Eventually, things have to happen bad to you.
You know, Lewis is not a great infighter, but Akinwande hasn't got a clue about what infighting is about.
Solid punch there. Round 4 comes to a close. The crowd hopes for something better. Lewis tries to quell his mounting frustration.
So what you got to do, you're draining him slowly, okay?
Yep.
You're draining him slowly. Work the jab, but when you get off, you got to get short punches on with him. See, you're trying to get set for thick wide shots, and that's how he's grabbing you. You're trying to get big right hands. Try to get out with short shots. You're punching the too wide. And that's how he's able to grab you. Get short shots off. That's why he can't get inside. They'll say, come up between. You run back, you're trying. Don't forget that. Everything, just those short shots.
Henry, come on now. You don't even looking like nowhere near the gym.
Come on, Henry. Come on, lift your head up, man.
Take a deep breath. Come on, you let this guy intimidate you. Let this guy intimidate you. Get physical with this guy. Get physical with him. You hear me?
You're stronger than he is.
Let's go, Henry. You make yourself sloppy. Let's go.
Come on, Don.
Let's go short punches.
Speed and angle.
Short
Speed and
punches.
angle.
He's giving it up.
Pressure with short punches.
CompuBox numbers say that in the first 4 rounds, Henry Akinwande has thrown 95 punches. That's a total of 23 per round, or an average of 23 per round. We saw a heavyweight a couple of months ago, Ike Beabuchi, who throws 95 punches in an average round.
Lewis' corner gave him some good advice. Stay short.
Harold Letterman, quickly, how do you have the first 4 rounds?
Larry, I got about a million things to say about this fight. 3 rounds to 1, 39-36, Lennox Lewis. Let me tell you something. When you get hit with a legal punch that causes you anything to touch the canvas except the soles of your feet in the scoring area, that's a knockdown. That shot that Henry landed in the 3rd round was a knockdown. Therefore, he should have got the 3rd round. As far as holding, it's illegal. If you got one hand free, you can punch with the free hand until the referee yells break.
How soon should he be disqualified, Harold?
Let me tell you, if Henry Akinwande keeps on holding, it's coming soon. I figure another 2-3 rounds, he's out of here.
Mills Lanes is in an embarrassing situation.
Yeah, he
just had a big controversy disqualification in the state. He just don't want to do that quick.
Look, he looks like an Oreo cookie there, mixed in between those 2 big guys. Oh, Mills Lane is earning his money these days.
Second time that Lane has called Don Turner up.
You tell him next time he's gone, okay? You tell him.
Hey, Henry, he's getting ready to disqualify you. Don't let him disqualify. He's about to drop dead, man. All you got to do is fight him. Fight him back. Get out there and fight.
Well, it couldn't be any clearer than that.
He just don't have any other defense. That's all there is to it. He just does not have any other defense.
Let him go, Henry. Let him go. Let him go.
You wonder what could be going through Akinwande's mind. I guess you're right, George.
He's trying to protect himself from heavy punches, and he doesn't know any other way.
He's used to being able to fight with room between him and his opponents. He's been able to dictate that, and Lewis is not letting him dictate the geometry of the fight.
Well,
so he is utterly confused.
366 days ago, July 11, 1996, Galata disqualified while pounding Riddick Bowe in Madison Square Garden. 4 months later, Atlantic City Convention Center, Galata
It's the end of the fight. We've had another disqualification.
Yep, I was just about to get there. There you go. That's the 4th major disqualification in the heavyweight division in 366 days. It was inevitable. There was nothing else Lane could do.
And I want to say, give a gold crown to Mills Lane. He was in an almost impossible situation after 2 weeks ago to have to do this, and he had the guts to do what was right.
Well, nobody's ever going to question Mills Lane's guts.
just a shame, George. It's a crying shame.
Yeah, it doesn't look good, but hey, sometimes you got to stand up and do what's right.
And I'll say this. In a way, you can say Akinwande found a way to quit. There are a lot of ways to quit in the ring. Sometimes you can bite a guy's ear to quit. Sometimes you can have an emotional breakdown in the ring to quit. And we saw this guy clutching to quit and get out of there. That's the third Don King fight in a championship fight who has quit this recently.
Yes.
This is what Dan Duva's. This is the main event fight, though.
Akinwande works for Don King, George.
Yeah, but Don King is not making these guys quit. He's giving them money, but he's not the one responsible.
Let's go to Michael Buffer and hear the particulars.
You use the jab to drive him in the bad position.
Ladies and gentlemen, referee Mills Lane, after repeated warnings, point deductions, warned the challenger Henry Akinwande that he had to fight and stop holding. He had to disqualify the challenger, the winner, and still WBC heavyweight champion of the world, Lennox Lewis.
So Lewis, who picked up the WBC title for the second time in February when Oliver McCall wouldn't fight against him, now retains the title as Henry Akinwande refuses to stop holding. And Lewis is once again denied the spectacular knockout that he thinks he needs, and a lot of people around him believe he needs, to galvanize public opinion in his favor.
Well, he's doing a good job with his career. He hasn't had any trouble with the government. Of course, he hasn't gone to prison, and so a lot of controversy will escape him. He's a nice guy, so he shouldn't worry about that. The big crowd will come if he keeps winning. If they're qualified in this manner, they'll assume, hey, maybe he's doing something to make these guys hold and quit.
Well, Harold Letterman yesterday in our fighter meeting with Henry Akinwande, you asked him if he was going to hold.
Jim, you know, he's done it in the past. You just saw it coming. It was a question I had to ask. Of course, he denied it in a fighter meeting. But let me tell you, just like Larry said, Mills did the right thing. As far as Lennox goes, you notice when he did have a free hand, he punched like heck with that free hand in the clinches, which is really what you should do. Until the referee yells break, you punch with the free hand, and Lennox whacked him numerous times while they're in those clinches. And you have to do that. Perfectly legal.
So Lewis did what he had to do. Let's go to Larry Merchant in the ring as he does what he has to do.
All right, thank you. Congratulations against Lennox. Are you frustrated that for the second time in a row a guy has basically quit on you?
Yeah, I was disappointed because obviously he didn't want to fight. You know, I was trying to fight. What can you do if a man doesn't want to fight you? All he did was hold.
Do you feel that your aggression is what made him hold?
Definitely, because as soon as I hit him with the first jab, I see it in his face. And I realized that, you know, he didn't want no part of that. He was just depending on his left, right. But what can you do when a guy doesn't want to fight?
Was the plan not to give him any room to use his longer arms than you and to box the way he likes to?
I said from the beginning he was going to get mullered, and that's what I wanted to do, just mull him from the start. You know, because I realized he wasn't mentally or physically tougher than me.
All right, you made a change. You've been urged on by Emanuel Stewart to become more aggressive, to do this kind of thing. Do you feel comfortable having done what you just did?
Yeah, I felt comfortable. I wish, you know, Akinwande would have put on a little more of a fight so I can show some of my talents, but every second he got, he just held on to me like, what can you say?
He hit you with a punch or a push punch or something on top of your head. It looked like your knee hit the canvas. Did it? Was that a knockdown?
No, I was just slipping the punch. I was just slipping that one.
So you don't think it was a knockdown?
No, Akinwande can't hit hard. I mean, you know, I came in expecting a fight, but he didn't want to fight. He just wanted to hug me up all night.
All right, let me ask you, Emanuel Stewart, you've been urging Lennox on to be less of a chess player, or if he's a chess player, to be a knight instead of a bishop. Are you satisfied with what he did here, even under these circumstances?
I was very satisfied. Lennox did all that he could do. He made it a physical fight. He crowded Akinwande, and he took his boxing skills away. He tested his mental strength, and that was what I was satisfied with.
Hard.
What would you like to do next, Lennox?
Basically, I just want to go against the next challenger. You know, Evander Holyfield is out there. He said there's nobody out there to fight him. I want to fight Evander Holyfield.
All right, if Evander Holyfield wants to fight Michael Moore, would you fight George Foreman? Who would you fight?
I'll fight anybody. I've never ducked anybody. Everybody keeps on ducking me. I don't know why, but they keep on ducking me. But I'll fight anybody out there. Basically, I want to go after all the titles. I want to unify the titles.
Thank you very much, Lennox Lewis. Back to you, Jim.
All right, Larry and George Foreman, let's take one more look at Mills Lane's last unrequited effort to make a prize fight out of this hug fest. And the final disqualification of Henry Akinwande right there. And give Lane credit, he tried.
He tried to make a fight of it. He did everything he could. He won, even talked to the corner people and insisted they speak with the guy. I've never seen it done so correctly.
There are fans around here who are booing Lewis and calling him a bum. Does he deserve that?
Not at all. This is not to be blamed on Don King. It's not to be blamed on Lennox Lewis. This is on a fighter's decision. He's accustomed to holding. Evidently, the referee here just wasn't going to put up with it, but and that's what happened.
The Nevada State Athletic Commission, as of a brand new piece of legislation in the past few days, would have the power, if they want to withhold Henry Akinwande's entire purse. Should they do it?
Not at all. This guy did not know how to protect himself. The only way he knew how to keep this guy off of him was to hold. He didn't know any classic defense like you've seen the cover up and the rolls and Archimos. He didn't have anything but holding.
All right, let's see what Akinwande has to say about it. He's with Larry.
Henry Akinwande, tell us what you thought went on there. You were warned to stop holding. You couldn't stop holding. The referee stopped the fight. Give us your view of that.
I didn't think most of the holding is my fault, because we both tried to go forward, and I mean, he's tall and I'm tall, you know, so there's no. I mean, I can find a way to walk inside, and I started to get close to him, and by the time I realized it, the referee was started wanting me, you know, that I should stop holding, because I mean the referee said, I mean. Sometimes step backward. I try to make a step backward, but he's not making any steps.
All right, so that would you say that he didn't give you any room to box, and that's what caused these wrestling matches?
I think that is part of it, you know. But right now, I don't have anything to say.
You must be very, very disappointed after trying so hard for so long to get here.
I'm very disappointed. You know, but I'll come back again.
Thank you very much, Henry. All right, Mills Lane is here with us. Mills, this must have been an extraordinarily difficult task for you after what happened 2 weeks ago, to have to stop another championship fight.
Yeah, it is. Larry, it's the worst thing. A DQ is the worst thing. But there's certain protocol. And once you get outside of it, I mean, there's nothing else you can do.
You warned them early about all of the clutching, and you saw that Akinwande was the main culprit, correct?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. He wouldn't even step back. I finally said, this is what stepping back is. This is what you do when you step back.
Have you refereed a fight of his before?
Not of his. Of Lennox Lewis's twice, but not of his.
Have you seen him fight before?
Oh, yes. Yeah, he can fight.
Was he just having difficulty because Lewis wasn't giving him any room to do anything, and he basically didn't know how to deal with that situation?
Larry, I don't know the answer to that, but I do know he could have punched more and he could have thrown punches. The guy can whack a little bit. I just don't understand.
Maybe he froze, or maybe we just have to give credit to Lennox Lewis for making that happen.
Maybe. I don't know.
Thank you very much, Mills Lane.
Thank you, sir.
Jim?
All right, thanks, Larry. Let's cover one last point one more time. You pointed out a couple of times, George, it's an 18-foot ring with two very big men in it. We've seen 22-foot rings plenty of times. How different might it have looked in a 22-foot ring?
A lot different. Every time this guy Lewis would land that powerful jab, this guy had no room to back up, and he couldn't make him back away, so he just held him. And it's unconsciously, someone should have taught him better. Some of these guys get to be #1 contenders without any experience on how to fight certain fights.
You heard Akinwande's argument. I wanted to go forward and get inside. He wanted to do the same thing. That's how it happened. Any merit in that?
No doubt about it. I think he just didn't know what to do. He tried to do his thing, but the holding got to be so easy, he just kept on. Then he didn't know what else to do.
All right. I think we're going to go from
It's not an excuse at all.
I understand.
But he just did not know what to do.
I understand. Well, that's why he got disqualified. In the end, that's what loses him the fight. So let's go now to a look at the reordered heavyweight division in the wake of Lennox Lewis's victory today, retaining his 1/3 of the title belt picture in the division. for help. And we mentioned to you during the